Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're at. This is Missions Monday, or is it Tuesday, Molly? Depending on where you're at, also. But hey, this is the continuing series of on Missions Monday, a marriage on the mission field, and actually, it's Missions Monday with Manny and Molly, and with us in Malawi is Matt and Lisa. you couldn't fit another M in there, but we can make hey, Lisa, right? Like they do in South Africa. A lot of names start with M. Becky. Just people probably thinking about But yeah, this is this is the fourth and maybe the last of the series of marriage on the mission field, and you have a new host here, myself, Pastor Manny Harrison, and the lovely Molly Harrison has joined us, and of course Pastor Matt and Lisa, Silva, Silva, Sleva. I was telling your dad. I go, hey, Matt, and Lisa. You go, oh, really? Huh? So Matt, and Lisa here in Malawi, and one of these days we're gonna have to find out what Malawi is all about. We've been all over Africa except for Malawi. So, what time is it over there?
8 p.m.
8 p.m.
8:05.
So, all those that are listening live or watching live, there might be what's going on all over Southern Africa is they do a lot of load shedding. I know that they do that in South Africa, and then also we might have a disconnect, but it won't. It will because of the lovely, the lovely load shedding situation there that we find sometimes in Africa. So you both have been, or you have been in Malawi for how long?
We were here in 2014 to 2016, and then we were here from 2018 till the present. So about 6 to 7 years total. So split up over the course of 8 years, I guess.
That's awesome, Malawi.
Yeah.
What would you say? Just kind of like we're going to do a little bit of an interview time here, and then we'll get into a little bit of sharing of a thought that that I want to bring in. But so you've been on the mission field there in Malawi for about 8 years, 7 years, 8 years. What would you say it would be, maybe, Pastor Matt, like one of the greatest challenges, maybe personally or as a couple in Malawi, in your experience so far? Just in general, the greatest challenge, one of the greatest challenges.
I think maybe it's that we have to spend a lot of time together.
Oh man.
Yeah, I know. It's not straight, right? But, yeah, I think that's sort of like, in the States we go our separate ways for 40 hours a week, and then we have our separate activities, as couples, and she does the grocery shopping, I cut the grass, like, but here, like, we just do everything together. So
Did we experience that on the mission field there?
Yeah. We were always together.
Doing everything together. Together.
Until
I know.
this rich businessman would take him out to dinner all the time. In South Africa. I didn't get in on that.
Oh, you need to find one of those things, huh? Well,
I don't know any rich people.
No rich people over there in Malawi? Cody's focusing here. So, Lisa, do you have a thought on that, or basically the same thing, or?
Yeah, I think it's just been finding a rhythm, learning how to, because you can't actually have meaningful conversation 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mm-hmm. So kind of recognizing that there's times when like he'll do the things that he's doing, I'll do the things I'm doing, and then one of the solutions we actually had for that challenge was early on, we implemented what he dubbed the staff meeting, the weekly staff meeting. So we would go out to coffee, and it was the staff meeting. So that was like when we would save our really, really good thoughts for the week for that time.
It was the Sleva family staff meeting. Oh, okay. I should.
So,
we got to implement that.
Oh, the
sometime.
two of you, just the two of
Yeah,
you.
the Sleva family.
Oh, well,
staff
we didn't
meeting.
have. Yeah, we didn't have staff meetings. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, that's good thought, Pastor Matt.
It was a coffee date, basically, but
Yeah.
he called it the staff meeting. And as a new wife, I was like a little bit offended by that at first.
Oh, that's cute.
But it was good though, because it kept us lighthearted about the whole thing, which you just have to learn how to not take yourselves too seriously.
Yeah.
I think.
Well,
Yes.
I don't know what you think, but it's like when I think of the Slevas, I just like, I don't know if there's an appropriate word, but you guys are a cute couple. You're very, looking from the outside, just like you're just very, in a good way, very simple in your lives and simple in your, I guess, in your approach to marriage, and just you're very much one of my faith heroes,
Me
as
too.
a couple.
Oh,
And can I say younger couple?
Yes, you can.
I don't know. I don't want to
Depends
get.
on where you put us. What group you put us in.
get-
We're the older couple in some groups.
Oh,
we're the
we're
younger couple.
getting a new term now. Is what's the new term?
The classics.
Yeah, we're classics.
Our age
yeah.
group.
Well, and the other side of that, or Pastor Matt or Lisa, one of you can answer. What would be, you think, and it can maybe kind of a general question, I guess, but what would, at this particular point, would be the greatest blessing that you have experienced on the mission field as a couple, or even as an individual married person? That makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's having to spend a lot of time together.
Oh.
It's the greatest blessing. 'Cause,
There's nothing else to do.
That's certainly true.
Uh,
Yeah, like we've gotten to build a relationship with each other in a bond,
Mm.
with lots and lots of hours, in a relatively short amount of time, 7 or 8 years. So I think it's been difficult, but then it's also been a great blessing to get to know my wife, in the midst of challenges and logistical problems and everything we face. Just being able to go through those things together, kind of we're walking the same steps in essence, and then we're facing some of the same challenges, and then we're working through them together. So that's and that's been a great blessing to learn her character, her faithfulness, her loyalty. Just to see all of those things on display very obviously, because I'm right here, like all the time.
Hey, how you doing?
You can't get away. You can't get away from me. That's been a blessing. Yeah.
How long into your marriage did you guys go to the mission field? Were you like a couple years, or were you right away?
It was it was like a year and a half.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's challenging. We were married for a while before we went out on our first mission field, and that too was challenging.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think it should be sort of mandatory. You should get married, and then within a year, like you should have to do like enforced military service.
but bring
It should be like,
bring your
get married in
bring your
great
sewing
grace.
machine though.
Yeah. Sewing machine.
Not everybody brings
Still
their
here.
sewing. Yeah, they're still there. Did
Yeah.
that sewing machine stay in the Philippines? The one that you brought?
Yeah.
Yes, it
Yeah.
did.
Oh,
Oh, I remember now. One thing, if I can say something about this great couple, when they were with us for a little bit in the Philippines, and they're such a beautiful couple, the way they minister together. And then I got to be with Lisa with the women, and she had an instant connection with these women, and they loved her. And it was just such a blessing to see that they weren't there a long time, but they were just right in there with the folks and loving them up and, ministering. It was really a blessing for us to have you there for that time.
yeah.
Got to know
We
you.
loved it too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We did.
it was special.
Well, I think
Yeah,
that
for sure.
the subject that we were supposed to be covering is guarding the marriage on the mission field, and just this thought that I got or I've been thinking about, and also had listened to a message recently, but it's based on in Romans chapter 10. It says this that verse 1 it says, "Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. For I hear, or I bear them record, that they have zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. For they, being ignorant of the righteousness of God's righteousness, they being ignorant of God's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves to the righteousness of God. For Christ is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believeth." Now, what does that have to do with marriage? And I'm just considering this also in the light of Romans chapter 12 and verse 2 is like being not conformed to this world, but being transformed by the renewing of your minds. And so oftentimes, my thought is this, that, we Christian marriages and even missionary marriages can become, and even in our own particular, not just marriages, but our own particular lives, we can live in a life that is contrived, that I'm doing everything that's right, and I might be doing it with pure intentions, but I'm trying to conform myself into something, trying to live the Christian life, and doing it not maliciously or not maybe intentionally, but I'm getting it's a contrived. Trying to live up to a standard, trying to live up to this. How when you take a vacation, and you got you plan this vacation, and then you got this idea of a vacation, and then but everything leading up to the vacation is like I don't know. We can get caught up in the details of it. We're gonna have a vacation. We're gonna take a vacation. We're gonna make this happen, and losing all, I guess, losing my mind or losing my thinking or right thinking, or losing the joy of the process. And I'm just thinking of this: marriage and even life itself is a process. We can have an idea and maybe get caught up in living in the idea of the what do you call it, destination. You can live a destination life and having this idea that what a man should be, a husband should be, and how he should act, and the things he should do, what a wife should be, how a wife should act, and what she should do, versus allowing for the life to proceed on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis in the process, and I guess sometimes being disappointed that we do not reach a particular destination in our lives or a particular destination in our marriage. Is that making sense? That thought that
Totally, absolutely.
living in pursuit of an idea versus living in pursuit of God for today, and of God for my life, no matter how long I've been a believer, no matter how, this is my the thing that I'm kind of going through in my own personal life is I really have such a desire, and I think this is true. My wife, we have such a desire to not live in the energy of the things that we've done before, or in the energy of our own spirituality, what we've done in the past, or our own capacities, but want to live in the adventure that God has for us today and the next step. No matter, and just to consider that I want to live in the daily dynamics of life derived from God, and allowing God to transform me, from and not living in the constructs. Oh boy, not living in the constructs of this is who I am, this is what I'm all about, and this is my identity. Yeah, it could be true, and it could be even be nice, but yet God might want to be doing something new and something different with me, and maybe expand my coasts as a believer, and living in a derived life, having life that comes from God, having thinking that comes from God in all freshness, and how easy it is for us, especially in close quarter drill, as in a marriage in the mission field, how easy it is for us to get caught up in the details, and that this is an amazing thing. A marriage is an adventure. It's a journey and a process, an adventure of faith with God. That every moment is a opportunity to live in the fullness of God, and as an individual, and as a couple, and as a family, and to lend ourselves available for that. And I think really that is amazing, to put ourselves in that kind of position, right, Pastor Matt? You made this decision, and along with your wife, to go on the mission field and try out the will of God and see what God has, and we expose ourselves to even I guess greater challenges when we do something like that as believers. Was that a question? What do you think of that? What do you think of that thought? That like avoiding living in a contrived life in our marriage.
I think we had all of those problems and hangups when we came to Malawi. We had our identity wrapped up in different things. Even I think we even came here to be missionaries, and then realized sometime later that actually we weren't even really missionaries. So we sort of got our identities kind of worked up into being missionaries, and then it was like, we're not actually, maybe the reason we're here is not actually to be that, and then we have our constructs and concepts about what is a husband and what is a wife, and then God is sort of breaking those things down, so I think, it's like what we know today is obviously more than what we knew 10 years ago, but at the same time, like you started out sort of saying, like we have to take a step in this journey, like we have to take a step into this unknown with God, and that's faith. This unknown sort of adventure, like you said, like to step into something where we don't know what will happen, where God gives us the first little glimpse of what He wants to do, and then we go out with all of our problems and all of our hangups, and all of our shortcomings and all of our insecurities and all of these things, and because it's by faith, God covers us, and He doesn't let us look too stupid most of the time. Sometimes He lets us look stupid, but like He really covers us, and and I think that's one of the great things about team missions. He put us with Pastor Chris and Julie, or Sister Julie, as we call her.
Sister
Like
Julie.
he put us together with them on purpose, because we needed, and he gave us like an amazing month with you guys in the Philippines. Like we like to think of ourselves as like mini Manny and Molly.
A lot of M's in that.
Yeah, mini Manny, Molly, Matt, Lisa.
Lisa breaks up the whole thing.
We watched you
Lisa.
guys. We watched you guys minister.
Yeah.
To people, and we know. We also know all these South African people that you guys invested in for so many years, and that have now. Those people actually have invested in our lives. Pastor Gerald and his wife. I can't say her name. Sorry.
Creaky.
Creaky.
No.
Creaky.
Creaky.
Pastor Gerald.
Sorry, Creaky.
Her sister's called Mara Creaky.
Mariki and Kriki Lubba.
Mariki.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
Luba, Lubba.
We did it many times. We messed those names up.
Molly's the queen of
I am getting the names wrong.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, but
like the simple, like you said, in simplicity,
Yeah.
and then in the love of the adventure, like not to accomplish a goal, but to become people, like to become this vision of what God would have us to become. So anyway.
yeah, because sometimes,
Awesome.
right, in marriage, or in or even in ministry, we might never get there to the destination, right? Or our idea, this is what's going to happen. We're going to go. It's just going to happen. Our marriage is going to be awesome. And we're not, we're going to be loving each other forever. Whatever. But nothing wrong. But it's like, yeah, what are we doing now in the process? How much of God do I want? How much of God do we want for our lives today? Even maybe we're not experiencing any love or any kind of like oneness, or might not be experiencing like, oh, this is amazing time here in the mission field and all that. But it's like, we go to God, right? We run to God, and I love this is what grace and our foundation of grace and the finished work lends us to be able to have that freedom to enjoy the process. We're not trying to live up to something. The other day I was asked if I can help when we were doing the homeless ministry. They had a whole bunch of heavy stuff to get off the truck, and I'm going, I have nothing to prove. I have nothing to prove. We have nothing to prove, right?
Yeah.
Because God has proven it all, and that the glorious gospel and the glorious gospel life is this: I'm complete in Him. I'm accepted in the Beloved, and that doesn't lend me to live in ordinariness, but it lends me to like reach for a goal, to reach for the goal of the high calling in Christ Jesus, and that I have every right to do so. I have every, the what do you call it? The boldness to claim that and to go after that, because I have absolute freedom because of grace and the finished work, and that I'm loved by God. It's my identity. Being a missionary is not my identity. Being a husband, a successful husband, is not my identity. Same thing with being, a successful wife or having a successful marriage or family. What's that? Does that make me spiritual because everything has come into place and I'm not experiencing problems? But there in this world, it's a promise, right? In this world you shall have tribulation, but we're to rejoice in it. And part of that is being married. Part of that is having, family life, and you guys have the amazing, fortune of being with, such an amazing couple as Pastor Chris and Sister Julie. That she's now the queen of she's the
Africa.
queen of Africa missions, because Molly was only there for 10 years. Julie's been there for what, 20 years now? No, I don't.
Long
Yeah.
time.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, they're an amazing couple. They're just, hey, warts and all. They're just not, they're just having a great time with God. I know I say with in their lives personally, and as a marriage and as a family. Yeah. Yeah. So, Lisa, you have this amazing tree in the back there. Is that part of the process of living in a place that has no trees? No. Well, you have trees in Malawi, but no pine
We
trees.
do have trees. It's very green here. Yeah, right. I guess when it rains, it's very green. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I've been thinking about what you were just sharing and, the concepts that we have. And I remember we got married in December of 2012, and there was a marriage seminar in the following February. And we decided to go. It was actually at the same place where we got married, at Heritage Hills in York, PA.
Oh, we've been there.
And so, yeah. So we, well, neither one of us wanted to go, kind of, or thought we needed to go. But then
Okay.
we were like, well, I guess we probably should go. I mean, we just got married. Maybe we'll find out like the problems we don't have yet, or something.
Don't have yet.
So, but the funny thing was, and I think we both took away from us from it was Pastor Bob Colban actually said something amazing. He gave this example of having we all have this box, and he called it like a marriage box. And through our whole lives, we're putting ideas of what marriage is going to be like into that box. And so like you come to the wedding day, you come to the altar, you come to, your marriage with this box. And it's like you're saying with the vacation, like you have all these ideas about how the vacation's going to go. And like he said something like, God is in the business of smashing that marriage box, actually, and so we talked about it afterwards, and, we just kind of came away from it saying like, let's let God give us the marriage he wants us to have, like leave the box aside and, whatever. And let's just journey through this. So then fast forward a couple of years, we came here, and, you could have like a missionary box, for example, like missions is going to be like this. Living in Africa is going to be like this. And then, of any country I personally have visited in Africa, I've only lived in Malawi. But if there's going to be a country that is going to smash your concepts of anything, it is blessed. It is going to be Malawi. So, you just, all the concepts you have about how life works just don't always work here. I mean, we were sharing before the show started that the power goes out without a couple times already today. So who knows, it could go black at any time. We don't know. So, but just living your life, in a constant state of adaptation. And, I think the American lifestyle is very planned, and it's very predictable because you don't ever have to worry, like when you turn the switch on, is the light going to come on most of the time? So there's a lot of predictability in the American lifestyle that allows for a lot of planning, but there's not a lot of predictability in Malawi. And so it doesn't allow for a lot of planning. So you kind of just have to continually adapt. And so my Christmas tree was an adaptation to our very first Christmas that we spent in Malawi, and we had no money. We had no money. We lived in a tiny studio apartment. I think I gave him some like talk time so that he could like download a movie on, from the internet.
Aw.
And then I think he gave me like 3 spools of thread.
Oh my gosh.
It's
The
like those
missionary
kinds
life.
of things, but like, yeah. And so like I got a bunch of firewood for like, I don't know, $2 or something, and I made a Christmas tree out of it
So
with some string and
creative.
some thumbtack, you know.
Are those
So you
your
just have
handmade
to-
ornaments?
Some of them are handmade, yes.
I know you sew everything. I'm looking at your wall. You have all these beautiful things. You probably made them all.
Most of them I did. So.
I love it.
I mean, and that's another thing.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
I have one of those pillows from Lisa. I have a handmade pillow.
yeah.
I think I left a few. Yeah.
You
so,
did, yeah.
You know, it's just, I think to your point, to your point, you just have to adapt.
Oh no!
Starbucks.
Starbucks
Oh,
made it to
yeah. Hey,
Malawi.
I tell you what. One thing I learned
Like
about the
that.
Slevas, they're coffee snobs
Oh,
in a good way.
I'm in
And
that
like-
category.
Oh no, but they're extreme.
Oh.
Yeah, they love their coffee and they know stuff about coffee.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, which is good. Did they grow coffee in Malawi? They're close,
Yeah,
close by.
They do? Oh.
Yeah, you guys get fresh coffee beans.
we do.
And you guys smell
Yeah.
it too. You know if it's fresh
We do.
or stale. I go, I don't know what stale. I never heard such a thing.
People stare at us in the grocery store because we're still
Yeah, I know.
back.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny. That's good.
Hey, what
We
you?
just
you
discovered a new company that they roast locally, and so they stamp on there the date of it being roasted. So we just found one that was
Oh.
roasted like 10 days ago. And
Nice.
so like, oh!
Woo,
That's
fresh.
awesome.
But hey, you had the thought that you had brought out in your comments about planning. You know, what are we planning for, right? In America and Western society, we can make a lot of plans, you know, but and there's not, and that's the great challenge about as believers, is that not our greatest challenge in life is not about whether we're gonna, be the subject of doing good versus evil, but it's like doing that which is good and doing that which is, God, the great, just God's perfect will. And we can get caught up in having everything fall into place and go according to plan, and that's what, not unapologetically, this is what we're brought up with in our society and in Western society, is everything needs to be planned, but God has other plans. There's something else going on here. Yeah, there's something else going on besides the details of life. There's something else going on besides marriage. There's something going on in my life besides, dealing with my finances or whatever. Something going on. And I think, just been thinking, speaking on a series about Matthew 6:33, seeking first the kingdom of God, and his righteousness, then all these things will be added unto you, whatever that may be. But our desire is to, maybe to seek God. And what is the kingdom? But it's a kingdom of grace. It's a throne of grace. We approach the throne of grace boldly, that we may receive mercy and obtain grace in our time of need. When's our time of need? Today, at any moment. And it's a healthy place to be, that I need God. I need God today more than I did yesterday. I need God today more than I did 10 years ago. And I think that's a healthy place to be in a marriage and on the mission field, to need God. Because I think it will be not a problem, but problematic in my pursuit of walking specifically with God, to really rely on my own, start relying on my own abilities and my own spirituality in that way. I've got this, I know this. And that's actually one of my, not fear, and that's in that way, but one of my greatest concerns for my own particular life is that I don't want to be, Manny Harrison doing this churchy thing, and because I've done it before. But I need God I really want God, I hear God, and have God order my steps. And I think that's so true with you guys, also Pastor Chris and Julie, and we won't get it all right, but we can grow with God and grow in grace in the process and do it together.
Mm.
You know, I remember in South Africa when I was still pastoring there, one of the young pastors, just getting started in his marriage, started realizing, oh, I got these challenges. We got these things that are like beyond our control. These things that are coming in, bills and these challenges, and I just mentioned to them, I said, those challenges won't go away. These things will maybe not be worked out, but do it together with God and do it together, and I think that's the privilege that we have, and that's a decision that we can make on a day-to-day basis. How much time we got there, Mr. Cody? 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
20 minutes still? Whoa, 20 minutes. Whoa. How can you talk with
Well, I was thinking when we were all speaking about the different things we were talking about. When we first went to South Africa, Manny sat us all down. We had our little staff meeting with the team, and he said, we're not here to do a great work for God. We're here to get to know God. And I can't tell you how relaxed that made me feel. My first time out on the mission field, and he had me going there because he thought we would be there for 6 months with Pastor Shabelli. And he wanted me to be under Linda, who was a seasoned missionary. And Pastor Shabelli said, bye, I'm leaving. You be the pastor, which was awesome. But it was like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting that. So that was really great. That was just to hear that. I think it just relaxed us all. Right, we're not here to do it. We're here to get to know God. And it was a beautiful time.
Yeah.
That was just a
So,
thought.
in Malawi, I mean, what's your daily schedule, kind of roundabout, generally? What do you guys do on a daily basis? Besides
Yeah, I mean,
Lisa
I think-
sewing stuff and
Lots of sewing.
and having team meetings.
And coffee.
Yeah. Lots of coffee, lots of sewing. So it's kind of evolved a little bit over the years. I would say when we first arrived, actually Pastor George and Carol Arman were on the team with us at the time. And then also Pastor Albert and Talasha was with us, and then he ended up getting married, and his wife McLean was with him and their children. So it's kind of evolved over the years. We had a little bit more, I don't want to say maybe structured is maybe one way to say it, but type of daily schedule. But then it all sort of got blown up with COVID.
Oh, right.
So we sort of had to reevaluate and reinvent our schedule a bit. And but as the work on the mission field goes, the goal is always that the nationals will take on more and more responsibility. So with COVID, we ended up we had to let go of a lot of responsibility, but the nationals could continue to function, in a lot of ways that we couldn't. So by the time COVID kind of peaked, and then,
Now you guys were there the whole time during COVID? Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we were.
Wow.
So I would say we had it easy compared to a lot of places. People live hand to mouth here, so it's just not possible to just keep people at home. They would literally starve to death. So it just was, what we know of the caseload was not as severe nearly as other parts of the world. So, but the lockdowns were not nearly as severe. The one thing was, the foreigners were sort of targeted at the beginning as like, you brought this here, even though we're like, we've been here the whole time. So just like you. But anyway, so it was just kind of better, especially at the beginning, for us to sort of keep a low profile. But all that to say is after COVID, all of a sudden it was sort of apparent, that the Malawians were doing most everything already. So, but, there was still plenty of, keeping, like, not just being, okay, bye, see you later. But it was, keeping sort of a bit of a rhythm and a structure. So I feel like was re.
Uh-oh.
Um, so we have team meetings twice a week. We have prayer at our house on Tuesdays and prayer at the Armins on Thursdays. And then we have Sunday, we have church. Wednesday evening, we have church. And then there's outreaches throughout the week. So, and we do visitation, and, you know, we live on kind of a community plot here. So there's a lot of different tenants. We have the Bible college dorm is here. So the guys stay here. And then the property manager is one of our Bible college graduates. One of the security guards is one of our pastors. So there's a lot of church folks that have fill different functions, but there's a lot of other like NGO workers here, nonprofit organization workers here as well. So it's really a mixed group, but I would say a lot of my days end up being like, knock, 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 Pastor Matt, knock, 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 Dr. Lisa. That's what they call me, Dr. Lisa here. I thought that was a Pastor Chris nickname.
Dr. Lisa.
I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, I could be a doctor. You have that doctor look about it. Oh, hey, with that thought, you know, like close quarter drill in missions, practically in a practical way, Pastor Matt. You know how you are all these people that are around that you are easily accessible. In a practical way, how would you say maybe something that you do or are mindful of as far as guarding the marriage in the midst of all that, you know, because it can get where you can get so, I guess, overwhelmed by maybe people, you know, knocking on doors and, you know, looking for you guys, and you're so accessible in that way. How, you know, there's, you know, have you ever lived in a mission, like a team house or anything like that?
No, I've never lived in a team house. How do I go? Well, she became like a human shield between me and the outside world.
And you're what? With shield between you and
Me and the outside world.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
I haven't done a good job at marriage.
How does she do that?
She's way more personable than me. This smiling face. Like when you come to the door, it's like, this is what you want to see, not this. You know?
She does it with a smile, though.
Yeah, she does it with a smile. So, I'm not that good at it, honestly. Even now, after 8 years being here, I don't always enjoy the visits and the pop-ins and the, So, but I think it's like everything we do is about relationship, really. So, it's like, I have these little opportunities to build on these little relationships that I have with different people here and there, and and I think one thing, I think it goes to what you've said already, Pastor Manny, but it's sort of like being this authentic person. Mm-hmm. And it's like someone comes to my house and I'm a little bit grumpy, It's like, but it's like I'm a Christian, It's like, should I should I pretend to be happy that you're here? Like I don't know that I should do that. Like I think, but at the same time, like it's like I need to learn how to stop what I'm doing and accept this person. I'm gonna be happy about it, but and I need to in one sense does it guard the marriage? Like I don't know. I think in that department she sort of guards me. She sort of looks out for me. She knows that's something I have a hard time with. So she kind of puts herself out.
Wow.
She cuts
That's
off
great.
a person, or she interrupts something because she wants to look out for me. So
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, so we have our strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
You know, in
Molly had
in
Molly
this
had a
relationship.
magic word in South Africa. When it was time for everybody to go home. It was like, all right. Oh, she said it with all right.
They roll their R's in South Africa, so
All right.
everybody
Yeah.
knew it was time to go home when I would go, all right.
When Lucy, Lucy started coming to church, she asked Loki, "What does Molly mean by all right?"
That's cute.
It's time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Pastor Matt, I love. I think what your mindset. Where we're just real people, and we're just learning. Well, you know what? This is the first time I've ever lived this life. Right? This is the first time we've all ever lived this life, and we're kind of maybe winging it for the first time. And we're not. It's just like, okay, this is how it's going to be, and we know. We just doing the best before God, and being honest before God, and honest before people, and honest with ourselves, our wives, and our husbands, and it's grace, and yeah, it's a great place to operate out of. The grace of God, and it really, I think, just like the Apostle Paul says, understanding grace and being founded and living in grace, I labor much more abundantly than they that are living according to whatever the constructs of what it means to be a believer, a pastor, a married person or whatever. That I'm not like so caught up in that. I'm living with God today, and I stand before God. We stand before God.
Yeah, I mean,
Amen.
I said earlier, like that we sort of learned that we are not missionaries, and it's, of course it's just a term, but we learned that what we actually do is that we live our lives amongst people. We live our lives openly, as open as we can, in the midst of the people of Malawi. And so they get to see they get to see our faults, and they get to see, our moods, and they get to see us upset, and they get to see us happy, and then we stand in front of people and preach, and like fools sometimes, because like we know that everyone knows how weak we are, and we know that everyone knows that like we are not qualified, and we do not have the educational background to be here, and all of these things, but we stand in front of people as fools and offer Christ, and it's like because we can't offer ourselves, and it's because we've learned that, like, what are we? We are not these missionaries, but we are just these people that have come and have decided to live our lives here. We eat food, and we cry sometimes when things go wrong.
Who cries
we
more,
laugh
you or
with
Lisa?
I mean, she cries a lot, all the time. But in a good, not always for bad.
Cries for joy.
Yeah, mostly joy tears.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we live our lives, and that's what Christ walked and lived amongst the people, and so.
Yeah.
Amen.
And I
Beautiful.
think that the healthy part of like your marriage and marriages like yours is that your marriage is not an entity to itself. That you guys as individuals and as a couple have lent yourself to be exposed to the body, and be exposed to those people in the world, and with the idea of really revealing, as best as we can, revealing the nature of Christ, and that comes with all the exposure, we think that all the exposure of our weaknesses being revealed and failures being revealed and stuff like that. But like it really solidifies the message of grace and the message of the faithfulness of God. It just continues to point to that because we're not trying to be contrived in our contrived in our Christianity, contrived in our lives, saying Christian phraseology and da da da, but it's like, and people see it. It's evidenced, and the Holy their Spirit witnesses to that, and it's a great way to live, right? Yeah, and
Yeah,
so
if I can add to, like, we started out by saying how much time we spend with each other, and that's also like somewhat how much time we spend with the church. So we see folks from the church every day, and we don't, it's like you can't, like in our marriage, because of the closeness, you can't hide lots of things.
Even on your day off.
We don't talk on our day off.
I remember in South Africa we would go to these these coffee shops and hang out, read books and magazines, catch up with all the reading, and we'd be in this coffee shop for hours on a Friday, our day off. But everybody knew that we were there, and it always ended up being the bodies coming to the coffee shop at the end of the afternoon, end of the day. And it's like, oh, okay, this is our day off. It was with the body. It's not contrived. Our ministry and our lives is fully on board with Christ, and that we have the freedom to really step outside of the idea of what it means to be a spiritual person, what it means to have a spiritual marriage, what it means to be missionaries, pastor, whatever. Our ministry and the message, the message that we have, lends itself to, smashing those boxes, right? A pastor that plays basketball, stuff like that. These ideas that people have. How much more time do we got there, Mister?
3
more
minutes. Wow, so great to see you guys.
Thank you.
You guys too.
Thank you.
So, what's next? Next step, if I would dare ask, would be the next step for the Sleeve. Are you guys going to be there for a little while? Are you going to go to another country or come home to America for a season? Or
Yeah, our plan is to come back to the States in February.
Great.
And then we will wait for you guys to decide where you're going.
Okay.
And then
That's great.
I don't know if what we're praying about is constituted as a mission field. I remember my very first mission field exposure to a first mission field was in the south of France. It passed back in 1982. And I'm going, this is the mission field? Like a French Riviera.
But we will definitely have coffee time when you come.
Yes. Will that be like a team meeting?
A staff meeting, double date.
Oh yeah, the staff.
Definitely.
Double date staff meeting with latte. Yeah. So, what's the last things that we have to say for, like words of wisdom for Cody, and his spirit and his walk with God. Cody, you want to say hi? No, you don't want. He doesn't want to be part of the program at all. We just mentioned his name though. Yeah, is that something you got at NBC Sports? Is that something you got from there, or?
This is
Just
shop it.
Just your wife didn't sew that, right?
I did not.
No.
No.
All right. Well, hey, it was a pleasure being with you. Greetings to who's Bella? Is she still alive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's still alive.
She is
Oh,
alive and well.
she's alive
Yep.
and well. Wow,
Yeah.
man, that was like, and you know, if we always wanted to be with Team Malawi, just be with, you know, Pastor Chris or you guys. That would have been fun. But hey, you know, as God wills. But
Merry Christmas.
yeah, guys go Christmas
Merry
caroling.
Christmas.
Guys going Christmas caroling in your shorts and sandals.
No.
No.
No,
We've never
I don't like
Christmas
to
carols
say
here.
that.
I don't know. It's like
Okay,
Christmas.
time to go.
Yeah.
So we're
No.
wrapping it up. Hey, thank you for being with us. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. And hey, just continue to pray for Team Malawi and for
Your
Team
return.
Slivas and Team Harrison.
Yes.
Amen.